This is the start of side 2. And we now return to local news with Joan, who will start with sport.
Enfield Town brought an end to their poor run of form in fine style by deservedly securing a 1-0 victory at home to high-flying Hendon in the Ryman Premier Division on Saturday. Town had been beaten in their previous 4 league matches, although they did claim a 3-1 victory at Ashford Town, Middlesex, in the quarter-finals of the Middlesex Charity Cup on Tuesday last week, but they put this behind them with a dominant display which saw them control the game virtually from start to finish. And Liam Hope finally ensured that they took advantage of their superiority by making a decisive breakthrough with 11 minutes left to secure Town's 6th successive league win over Hendon. "It was a great team performance and we thoroughly deserved the win," said Town manager Bradley Quinton. "We looked very solidly throughout and also looked dangerous going forward. Hendon's front two of Kesey Eby and Leon Smith are as dangerous as anything in the division, and we kept them under control. I always had every confidence in what we could do when we won the ball, and it's just a shame we didn't win by more."
And now another sports item, rugby union. A late surge helped Enfield Ignatians to secure a losing bonus point as they suffered a disappointing 26-19 defeat at home to Norwich in London Division 2 North East on Saturday. Charlie Shorten gave the hosts the perfect start as he claimed a try inside 2 minutes, but Norwich soon took control and converted scores from Johnny Wheater and Martin Cullum gave them a 14-5 lead at half-time. Stuart Cameron and Lawrence Austin further extended the visitors' advantage by touching down in the second period before Ignatians' rally saw Jake Bates score a brace of tries, both of which were converted by Jordan Wilson to ensure that they did at least pick up a point for their efforts. Enfield Ignatians visit Campion on Saturday.
And now for some more sport, and it's table tennis. Rising star Denise Payette enjoyed some encouraging results when she competed in the Junior Masters event in Harlow. Payette, who is a member of Ellenborough Table Tennis Club in Enfield, was seeded 4th and won 6 of her 11 matches to finish in 7th place. "My results were okay," the 13-year-old Enfield County School pupil said. She was the youngest girl to take part in the event. "It's a good competition to play in because you don't get any easy matches, and that helps me when I play in European competitions." Payette has enjoyed a succession of impressive results and has a double winner at the National Cadet Championships in November.
And I have a sports item. Thomas Grimes won the Grovelands Parkrun in Enfield for the second weekend in succession on Saturday. However, the East London runner was unable to improve on his time of the previous week, completing the course in 20:05, more than a minute outside of his most recent time. In second place was Oliver Grumwell, who crossed the line in a time of 20:38, enough to put him comfortably ahead of Sal Ozsarkin in third position, 21:01. Elaine Pitter was the first woman to finish, coming in 19th place overall by setting a time of 23:23. For the second week running, Vanessa Anthony was the second woman to complete the course in a time of 23:43.
Now I have a letter here written by Joan Ryan, Labour's parliamentary candidate for Enfield North. Since 2010, Enfield residents have been hit by some of the highest percentage fare rises in the country, A season ticket from Enfield Town to London has gone up from 1,200 in 2010 to 1,596 in 2015, a rise of £396 or 33%. And David Cameron, his Tory-led government, are presiding over a rip-off railway in Britain. He has failed to stand up for working people in Enfield struggling with the cost of living crisis, and has allowed the train companies to hit Enfield passengers with big increases in season ticket prices. Out-of-touch ministers talk about fair fares for comfortable commuting, but this is a world away from the reality for many hard-up commuters living in Enfield. What Enfield needs is a better deal for car passengers and taxpayers. This can be done by reforming the railways, simplifying the ticketing system, enforcing a strict cap on fares on every route. Labour will give passengers a voice on how the railways are run and stop passengers getting fleeced at ticket machines by making it a legal right for passengers to be sold the cheapest available ticket for their journey.
And now a letter from Mr. Paul D. Smith, Liberal Democrat prospective parliamentary candidate for Enfield Southgate. In 2010, Mayor of Enfield Jane Buckland bravely opened council meetings with a poem reading instead of prayers. In 2012, the High Court ruled that it was unlawful to make prayers a formal part of council proceedings. Now, Community Secretary Eric Pickles is supporting attempts to enable councils to force the religious practices of one religion onto all council members by making prayers a formal part of council meetings. As a Liberal in both outlook and politics, I support the right of an individual to follow their own faith, or none, without hindrance. But this right does not mean that religious groups should be able to force their religion onto other individuals, and this includes forcing religion into the governance of Enfield. I encourage Enfield residents to support religious freedom by contacting their MP immediately and asking them to vote against the Local Government Religious etc. Observances Bill 2014-15 when it comes before Parliament.
And I have a letter from David Hughes of Conway Road in Palmer's Green. What is David Burrows up to? His recent newsletter claims the following. Road safety has been a massive concern of mine. Following the tragic death of a child on our streets as a result of a dangerous driver, I led a successful campaign to increase the sentence for killing someone through dangerous driving. Well, that's fine. But he must know the benefits in terms of lives injuries saved will be marginal, and that, by contrast, Enfield Council's Mini Holland Cycle First campaign, which he very publicly opposes, has real potential to save many lives currently lost to poor air quality. 4,500 people die annually in London from poor air quality, and tens of thousands suffer serious illness. What's more, cycling improves fitness and helps reduce the weight gain, which has brought the UK to worldwide leadership in obesity and diabetes. Health isn't the only problem with London's traffic. The population is increasing, and cars with it. Unless people walk or cycle for shorter journeys or use public transport more often, gridlock is inevitable. This must be tackled. Sir Mr. Burrows makes an incomprehensible decision, unless you think he's vote-seeking, to agree with Green Lane shopkeepers' argument that car parking adjacent to shops is key to retail survival. Not in Britain's very successful pedestrianised streets it isn't, not according to case studies. Even national car park providers can't prove it. In fact, case studies worldwide show that what most enables retail success is a pleasant public realm. And here we face the apparent inability of local shopkeepers or our MP to think strategically. In these days of internet shopping, high streets need to concentrate on what the internet can't provide: an attractive, welcoming, traffic-calmed ambience. Shops tailored to customer service, perishable food, trying clothes before purchase, time-critical purchases, etc. Some butchers and fishmongers survive in green lanes. Convenience stores are taking trade from big shed stores. So all is not lost.
And I have a letter from Councillor Nick Dines. He is from Chase Ward. In response to the letter from Councillor Vicky Pike, January the 7th, I agree with her. Policing the A10 is the responsibility of the Mayor and TfL, Transport for London. That is why I have been in touch with his office, and Enfield North MP Nick Dubois has met him to secure extra resources in tackling the speeders. Perhaps her research uncovered how many times Councillor Chris Bonn or our London Assembly member Joanne McCartney had done that over the past 4 years. I think we know the answer to that. I notice Ms. Pites says nothing in her letter about Ed Bald saying if there is a Labour government, the Home Office budget will be cut every year, meaning fewer police officers for Enfield. Wonder why that was. I have learned since becoming a councillor that the current administration doesn't like to take responsibility and resorts to political point scoring. It also seems to think the issue of speeding on the A10 is a bit too much bother for them to try and find a solution for. I make no apologies for continuing to raise the issue and trying to secure more resources for Enfield.
Well, now we're back to normal news, and there's a report about residents who've been urged to be vigilant in the wake of 2 burglaries in the same road just before Christmas. Police are appealing for information and witnesses after they were called to a house in Derwent Road, Palmer's Green, on December the 3rd at 12:30 p.m. to report of a burglary. Officers discovered the residents of the property had disturbed 2 men as they were trying to break into their house. While police were investigating, they were alerted to another burglary in the same road, and this time a number of items were stolen. On interviewing witnesses, police discovered that before they had arrived, neighbours had seen 2 men run off in the direction of Lakeside Road, which runs parallel to Derwent Road. The suspects are both described as white men in their 20s and are about 5'9" tall. One of the suspects had brown collar-length hair and was wearing a blue and grey jacket with blue jeans. He was heard to speak with a London accent. The other suspect had short brown hair and was wearing a dark, possibly black, hooded top. Police would like to speak to anyone who witnessed anything unusual in the area around Derwent Road and Lakeside Road between noon and 12:30 p.m. on Wednesday, December the 3rd. Anyone with information can call Enfield Police on 101 or contact Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111, quoting reference 52265009/14.
Been launched to encourage people to lose weight and introduce simple lifestyle changes. Enfield Council's new site, which is www.enfield.gov.uk/MEDS, is aimed at challenging residents to make one change to lose extra weight and tackle the borough's obesity problem. According to the council, 95% of the borough's residents fail to take enough physical activity to benefit their health, and 64% of adults are overweight or obese. Nearly 40% of Enfield's 11-year-olds are also overweight or obese. Rahini Simbodial, Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport, Youth and Public Health, said that simple changes could help. Use the stairs, walk or cycle to work, cut down on fat, prepare and cook meals from scratch and drink less alcohol. These are just a few actions that individuals can do to improve their health, she said. During the 6-week campaign, which started on Monday, people will be encouraged to take part in games in parks and take other steps to improve their health, such as joining a walking group or setting up a gardening club to grow their own fruit and vegetables while getting exercise. Enfield GP Dr. Mo Abidi, who is the new chairman of Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, said, "It is a well-established medical fact that excess weight is linked to increased illness and quality of life. He's concerned that only 10% of obese adults accept that they have a serious weight problem. Obesity is linked to heart disease, diabetes, hypertension, cancer and some arthritic conditions," he added. "It is a significant cost to the local NHS."
A row has erupted over plans to overhaul some main shopping centres in the borough. Last week, at a stakeholders meeting of the Cycle Enfield Partnership Board, councillors were aghast that residents were not being consulted over early proposals on ways in which £30 million to revolutionise cycling in the borough should be spent. Since it emerged that Enfield had been successful in its bid for the money, residents and shopkeepers have been on edge that plans to create safe space for cycling could push the interests of business and residents to the side. Joan Laban, deputy leader of Enfield Council's Conservative group and a councillor for Town Ward, has hit out, saying that residents are not being more involved in the early drafting of the provisional plans. Although she was invited to the stakeholders meeting, she is outraged that her constituents were not. The fact that Chris Bond, the Cabinet Member for Environment, specifically decided that neither the Federation of Enfield Residents and allied associations who represent residents' groups, nor specific residents' groups in the area, should not be involved in the meeting means that the process has got off to a bad start. This can be remedied, but Mr. Bond needs to demonstrate that he is really interested in what the public have to say. Early stage proposals include options such as creating two-way traffic in Cecil Road, Enfield Town, as well as the possibility of allowing eastbound traffic in Church Street as long as vehicles turn left onto Silver Street, and one option involving a shared space scheme, which would introduce two-way traffic in Cecil Road and two-way cycle traffic in Church Street. All were shown to stakeholders at the meeting, including cycling groups, councillors and history societies. However, the leader of the Palmer's Green Business Association, Kostas Georgiou, is furious that business leaders have been excluded from even the very early stage discussions. He told the Advertiser, "We in Palmer's Green are concerned that the council still seems keen on the idea of segregated cycle lanes that would completely remove any possibility of parking in green lanes. I have heard that they want the type of lane called armadillos, which are made of rubber and separate traffic from bikes. But these things will mean no one can park and come into shop. It also just is not possible, as green lanes simply is not wide enough." But Mr. Bond has told the Advertiser that every residents' group was invited to last week's meeting, as well as business representatives. Councillors are also invited to these meetings, and councillors are supposed to be the representatives of the residents, said Mr. Bond. They are the people's voice, elected by the people, for the people. He also explained that the council is trying to do something different with the way it's drawing up proposals. We are trying to get this right, he added. We are trying to have a conversation with people about what we want to do. We are trying to do the best we can to make sure we have spoken and listened to as many people as possible. Plans will go out for public consultation in February.
If you haven't got money to burn and value your health, then quit smoking. That's the message of a new campaign by Enfield Council, aiming to get the smokers to realise how expensive the harmful habit is. And with many residents already finding it tough following the expense of Christmas, it urges, make sure you don't go broke for a smoke. The council says at £9 for a pack of 20, that works out at 45p per cigarette, and even 10 a day costs £31.50, or £1,638 a year. To help those who want to quit, a stall was set up outside Asda in Edmonton Green on Friday, offering the free stop smoking advice and support, plus entertainment with a clown and silhouette artist. Rohini Simbodjal, Cabinet Member for Culture, Sport, Youth and Public Health, said, smoking is a very harmful habit. It not only causes serious health problems, including cancer, but also is highly expensive. There are so many reasons to give it up, not just the health and social benefits of not breathing in smoke all the time, but also the idea that by cutting down you could save well over £1,000 a year or more and spend it on something else. Enfield Council's Stop Smoking service offers help and advice to quit, no matter how long you have been smoking, so why not give them a ring? After all, the expense of Christmas, make sure you don't go broke for a smoke. Dr. Mo Abedi, the chairman of Enfield Clinical Commissioning Group, said smoking is the greatest preventable cause of death and disability in the borough. Enfield GPs see the effects of smoking every day, and I can only recommend that any smoker uses the free support available to help them stop. For more help, contact http://www.quitsmoking, that's all one word, .uk.com/ or phone 0800 652 8405.
I have here the columnist Joe Collins talk about Chicken Shed Theatre. Happy New Year. 2015 has certainly started with a bang here at Chicken Shed. Peter Pan has come to an end after 59 wonderful performances with some amazing reviews and packed audiences across the run. We held a special celebration event on Sunday, January the 4th, and we're delighted to welcome stars from stage and screen who sat among our audience and who clapped frantically when they were asked if they believed in fairies. As we launch our spring season, we have performances and events to entertain all ages. Our interactive children's shows, Tales from the Shed, aimed at our youngest audiences, begin again on January the 23rd. For older children aged 5 and up, we have our Saturday Shed workshops, which begin on January the 24th. Every workshop is different and designed so that a child of any ability can develop performance skills. We even have an adult choir that meets on Wednesday evenings. Emerging Writers' Week returns in February. An array of new work will be showcased in our studio, with off-stage fringe events both before and after the performances, and which will include readings of new plays, extracts of work in progress, sketches, poetry, and more. We will have a Play in the Day workshop on Saturday, February the 21st, where participants will create a brand new piece which will be devised, written, rehearsed, and then performed in the evening at the final show. But it's not all about shows. If you haven't been to Chicken Shed before, why not pop in and enjoy a coffee, a snack, or delicious Mediterranean-style meal in our comfortable Brothers Grill Cafe, all with free Wi-Fi. We're your theatre, and we would love to see you.
People can step back into the history of Enfield on a guided walk this month. Transport for London, TfL, is offering the walk as part of its annual Winter Wonders weekend on Saturday, January 24th and Sunday, January 25th. One of the walks will take place on Sunday between Cockfosters Underground Station and Turkey Street Station. The 8.5-mile journey is described as a rural roam alive with history and explores the history of Enfield's farms and woodland. The walk starts at 10:30 a.m. outside the underground station in Cockfosters Road, Enfield. Ben Plowden, Director of Strategy and Planning at TfL, said, "Winter can be the perfect time for exploring the capital with crisp sunny days, frozen lakes and sparkling parks. So wrap up warm and join one of our free walks, and our expert guides will enrich your local knowledge."
Following last week's front page story, Confusion at Cuckoo Hall, Nick Efemiou has asked us to clarify that he is the ex-husband of Andre Efemiou, chairwoman of the Cuckoo Hall Academy Trust, who has voluntarily stepped down while an investigation is conducted into allegations of gross misconduct against her and two other senior board members. In the story, we referred to him as her husband. He was also incorrectly referred to as the former site manager of the Cuckoo Hall Primary Academy. He wishes to make it clear he is still the site manager.
We have reached the end of our programme for this week. Thank you for listening. So from the team of
Joan,
Beverley,
Rob,
and myself, Lillian, with Colin on controls, it's goodbye, cheerio.
bye.
Please remember to turn over the address label in your postal packet, put the cassette into the packet and return it to us as soon as possible in readiness for the next edition. If you are experiencing any problems receiving your Enfield Talking newspaper, please phone Diane de Jersey on 0208 805 6578. She is your listener's representative and she will be pleased to help you. The Enfield Talking newspaper will be with you again in 1 week's time.